Greetings, everybody. This is Adam from RealHomeRecording.com. I want to talk about Acqua plugins. That's spelled A-C-Q-U-A. Now, Acqua plugins are from the Nebula family of plugins. That's N-E-B-U-L-A, right up here. I've been hesitant to talk about Nebula plugins because, number one, they were really CPU heavy. I mean, like, ridiculously bad. They were hard to use for most of us. I mean, not having a good graphic user interface is just a no-no when it comes to mixing as far as I'm concerned. And then the other problem was it was basically hit or miss when it came to some of the sounds. Like, for example, equalizers were great. Reverb, great, but compression, tape emulations, hit or miss, you know, not as good as algorithm stuff is. Now, we're living in a different era. This is 2014, and Acqua technology has advanced to the point where they're using something called nonlinear convolution. So that's basically what separates Acqua plugins from the other ones, is that what they do is they measure hardware with an impulse response, just like a convolution reverb, except for it's sent through different audio hardware. And then that's measured and replicated in digital form. Well, convolution takes up a lot of CPU, it has heavy latency, and the files are quite large. The file libraries are quite large. Now, unfortunately, the file libraries are still large, not as big as they used to be, but they're still large. The latency is tweakable, but you know, the less latency, the higher the CPU. Anyway, I am ready to talk about these type of plugins for two main reasons. CPU is less. There are graphic user interfaces, as you can see with the plugins on this website, as they go by. Blue EQ, they just showed Trinity, and you know, the user interfaces, not only are they nice as far as usability is concerned, they look photorealistic. These Acoustica plugins are some of the nicest looking GUIs I've ever seen in an audio plugin. I mean, they really look like hardware. Look at that. That's a Pultec emulation, and it's like, you know, let me click on it if I can. Now this is one complaint I do have, is that this website, number one, as you can see, I'm gonna have to zoom in on this text because on a 1080p monitor, it's just too small. So, okay, so Pultec EQ, obviously it's a Pultec EQ emulation if you're familiar with that hardware. But look at this. Now, I know these are mock-ups, but inside the plugin itself, it looks photorealistic, which may or may not be a good thing for you. I personally like looking at something that looks like the actual hardware. Now that's closer to what it'll look like in the plugin. Now, let's stop talking about looks. Why would somebody go through the trouble of even using Nebula plugins? Because the sound quality is ridiculously good. Many people say it really is the closest thing to hardware, really sounding the same, a lot of people say, and that's, you know, I know I've claimed that myself, and a lot of algorithm plugins claim that, but the cult following for Nebula plugins is ridiculous. And finally, they have come to you know, your typical user, and also they're now 64-bit. I don't think they were 64-bit before, and they're gonna have audio units. They've had VST the VST platform for a long time, but I think audio units is now available on their newest plugin that was released yesterday, I believe. The purple EQ, I believe it was called. Anyway, if you've never heard of Nebula plugins or Acqua plugins, you're in for a treat. Now here's the problem though. As lovely as these interfaces are, as nice as it probably sounds, you can't really demo any of these. So I'm going to ask Acustica, I'm going to post this video on their Facebook page because I would love to demo these for you guys, because I have faith that this company could be doing huge things. But I've seen people on message boards saying, look, there's no way for me to demo this. Now they do have sound samples, but you know, company sound samples just aren't enough for most people. So I really like to demo this one, the new one they put out, and probably Trinity. Yeah, Trinity is the one people like to talk about. This, for some reason, is a standout. But yeah, I think this, no, hold on, I'm trying to figure out which one was the new one. Now they have more than EQ. Here it is, Magenta. This is the brand new one that came out yesterday. This is, I believe, a massive passive EQ. There we go. Which is a very expensive mastering equalizer. So if that can get even close to the sound of that, that's pretty awesome. Now, you have other companies besides Acustica. We also have, now the Nebula library still exists. They're still going strong. This is an 1176 compressor emulation that has been getting a lot of praise, but it's not really well known. It's not well marketed, but a lot of people are saying this is pretty much the closest thing they've heard to a real 1176. And look how cheap it is. 16 pounds or whatever that is. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with currency symbols besides the dollar sign. And then CD Soundmaster is also another good company. They have a variety of Acqua plugins, and they have tape emulations. They have console emulations. They have EQ. You can get the Neve 1084. They have a tube emulation. The Nice EQ is their free offering. Now that's the thing. They do offer free plugins. Some of these websites do. Some of these companies do. They have the Red EQ is the free Acustica plugin, so you can at least demo that, which I'm going to do right now, so you guys can hear these. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to talk to some of these companies to demo these. Now, CD Soundmaster does have a better demo policy, but the other ones, you can only hear audio demos. So I'm going to see if I can demo that and review these plugins for you guys, because if you're looking for the utmost in quality. Now, by the way, like I said, CP usage is much better, but I would still probably bounce the tracks, just because you'll see in a second down here the CPU usage. But what I'm going to demo an acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and overhead drum microphones. So here's the acoustic guitar using the Red EQ. The only plugin I have besides that is Ozone. I'll keep this open so I can see if I'm going over or not. I always like to limit that when I'm doing this live. But let me show you what the Red EQ can do. By the way, I have the output tuned down because, as you can see, all the gain sliders are moved up, because what you're supposed to do is gain stage so that it's hitting around 0. It's really important that you gain stage these Nebula plugins, or they're not going to sound accurate to the hardware. So let's start with acoustic guitar.
Does it record? 4, 3, 9, 1, 1.
That is the closest thing I've probably ever heard to hardware EQ. It just sounds good. It doesn't start tearing up during the high shelf boost. You know, it's just a good sounding EQ. And I'll move on to the drums now so you can hear those. By the way, what I'm doing as I go through these, I'm just control clicking to reset to 0. And I will say, I will give one criticism, one bit of negative criticism. It's a little bit hard to control this. I have to like grab it. I can't go like over here and like change it how I'd like to. But you know, it's better than the old Nebula interface, which is just, I don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, let's go on to the drum overheads. I should mention that I used to record drums with the drum overheads with the low cut filter on my mixing board, so the low end doesn't sound as good as it probably could. Plus, I'm not using really. I'm using the overheads and not the kick drum for the low end, so that's gonna sound terrible anyway. Okay, finally on to the distorted electric guitar. Oops, I reset that by accident. Hold on. That's about where it was. And do that. And here we go. That's pretty cool. I mean, you can really hear that the low end of the woofer on the guitar speaker punching when you boost the low end on this thing. It's pretty crazy. So I think that sounds good. I love to hear the other ones because I'm not really sure what the red EQ is supposed to be. It sounds pretty clean to me, but maybe a little bit of a presence boost. It does sound nice, whatever it is. But again, even if you do use these plugins, you probably will have to bounce the tracks, but they sound really good. So you gotta like weigh the decision on, you know, do you really want the highest quality, even though you might have to do a little bit of finagling with, you know, bouncing. I don't have a problem with that myself. I just like going for quality. So if I have to render something in order to free up CPU, then hey, of course I am using a 7-year-old computer, so you got to weigh that as well. So if you have like a brand new Intel i7 processor, you know, 3 gigahertz or more, then hey, Nebula plugins, you might even be able to use them without having to bounce them. But yeah, definitely keep watching this channel because I might be able to demo some of the other Acustica plugins. I'm really interested in doing that. But yeah, I hope I introduced you guys to something new. You may have never heard of these plugins, but you definitely should check them out. And again, I hope to review them because there's no way to demo them otherwise. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.